I see two people sitting by the sea, they look at the view. They're saying nothing to each other cause they don't need to. And all I wanna do is sit down and talk to you. All I wanna do is sit here and look at you. And then the couple, they just get to their feet and walk away, walking hand in hand along the beach like every day. And all I wanna do is walk along the shore with you. All I wanna do is share all my thoughts with you.
Cambodia is a fascinating place. It's a country like most in Southeast Asia, whose people seem to be brimming with life, friendly, welcoming and eager to smile. But behind this friendliness lies a terrible history, almost too recent to call history, when Pol Pot tried to reinvent Cambodia as a social experiment, known as Year Zero. But go back into ancient history and you'll discover one of the wonders of the world, Angkor Wat, a temple complex so grand and magnificent that it compares easily to the pyramids of Egypt, South America and even Machu Picchu. And it's less than a day's travel from Australia on Thai Airlines. My first stop was Phnom Penh, and some early morning exercise on the banks of the Mekong River, which flows lazily through this hub of trade and temples in the heart of Asia. Okay, I skipped the exercise this time. The dances were too good for me and the Tai Chi didn't feel like my thing this particular morning. Besides, my World Expeditions guide wanted me to get off to the markets before we headed out of town for a bit of a history lesson. After some shopping and taking in the sights of Phnom Penh with its contrasting serene palaces and bustling markets, we jumped into a taxi and headed out of town. This strange building is a memorial to something that seems mostly forgotten in the Western world, but still lies heavily in the hearts of modern Cambodians, few of whom were untouched by what became known as the Killing Fields. This monument is a tower of skulls built in a field where executions took place, literally in their thousands. It's really hard to capture the horror I feel here on film, but let me say that any trip to Cambodia just isn't complete without a visit to the Killing Fields. My next stop was Siem Reap, a few hundred kilometres northwest of Phnom Penh, but easily accessible by boat, bus and plane. And it is here that you will find the wonder of the world that is Angkor Wat. This view is probably familiar to most of us, but Angkor Wat is not just this building, but a vast complex of temples, palaces and fortifications that housed kings and princes, armies and monks on such a scale that it's more like a city. The Angkor complex is really large, so a great way to get around is one of these tuk-tuks. It's a little bumpy, but it's nice and cool. My World Expeditions guide started the day early, at 6 a.m, so I could get a good look at the sunrise and then take in some more of the most amazing temples nestled amongst the jungles of the towering cardamom trees. One of the defining features of the Bayong Temple are the 54 towers, each of which have 4 faces of Buddha on them. These intricate and beautiful carvings were begun about 800 years ago, but building continued for hundreds of years, so the deities they pay tribute to come from different religions. Angkor Wat started out as a Hindu temple, but towards the end of the 12th century it became a Buddhist temple. You can spend days exploring Angkor Wat, and each different temple or fortress holds its own wonders. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Angkor Wat is how it was completely lost in the jungle. It's really difficult to get a true sense of perspective unless you're standing amongst this temple. The way that nature has come in and just like started to dismantle this entire temple complex, it's incredible. Today, the jungle has receded and the complex is easily accessible, and not only on the ground. As well as clambering all over the ancient ruins, you can also take a ride in a balloon for an amazing bird's-eye view of the place. From the 9th to 13th century, Cambodia was considered one of the most wealthiest empires. They used to put jewels in here, like diamonds and rubies and emeralds. Every girl's dream. But unfortunately, today it's considered one of the most poor countries in Southeast Asia. But it's still pretty beautiful. Despite all that has befallen the people of Cambodia, they are incredibly friendly. And some of them know more about us here in Australia than you might think.
Australia, a lot many kangaroo and spider, and a lot of snake and spider. And I know how many people in Australia, 22 million people.
My final stop in Cambodia was the Bear Rescue Centre, where I met Australian zookeeper Emma Gatehouse. Today she spends her time rescuing and caring for sun bears, amongst others, which are native to this part of the world.
Cambodia doesn't have any bear bar farms, which is obviously a very good thing, but we still see the effects. So we've got mainly youngsters, so cubs being taken from the wild, and they're trying to smuggle across the borders to Laos and Vietnam, where all these farms are. They're kept in very small cages, terrible conditions, and treated very badly, and often it will halve their life expectancy. It's not very often you get to make a difference, and every day I feel I can make a difference to these bears' lives, so it's amazing. Personally, for me, it's the best feeling.
I will take many memories away with me from Cambodia, like the busy markets of Phnom Penh and the adorable sun bears. But most of all, I will remember the ancient world that seemed to leap from the screen of an Indiana Jones movie, and the cruel past that should never be forgotten. Thanks to World Expeditions for guiding us through Cambodia, and Thai Airlines for getting us there.